Take your casino night DLC and get out.
This podcast is hardly focused.
Ah, the French.
The Xbox showcase happened. Right off the bat, your picks from the showcase.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, I am deeply, deeply aboard the hype train for the new Dragon Age game. I think it was on this show a couple months ago. I forget what we were talking about. We might have been talking about Twisters and how excited you were. And the topic came up of what's something I was really, really hyped for.
Yes.
And my immediate response is the next Dragon Age game. And at the time, Dragon Age Inquisition, the last game, came out in 2014. So 10 years ago. And there was basically no news for the past 10 years. Like, there was a lot of like fear and worry about the production because there were lots of talks about like, oh, they were trying to make it a live service game. They were trying to make it a multiplayer only game. And then finally, like, I think after like 5 or 6 years, they just came out and said, we're scrapping everything. We're starting over from scratch. And it's going to be a single player game like the first 3. So everyone was very glad for that. But, you know, it really killed a lot of development time. But just this week, they announced they've changed the name from Dragon Age Dreadwolf, which I liked because it could be shortened to Dad. And I thought that was kind of funny.
That sounds badass,
to Dragon Age the Veilguard. That doesn't really roll off the tongue as much as Dad, but
Dav. Davga.
But they released the first trailer showing all the companions for it. There's going to be a 20-minute gameplay live stream, and they've just been dropping bombs of information and screenshots and art and all this stuff like over the past 24 hours. They've just been streamlining 5 years worth of development hype in the past 2 days. It has been like hectic to be a Dragon Age fan. I love that franchise, so they would have to really colossally fuck it up for me to not want to play the next entry. And so far, I like what I see.
So you've got Dragon Age. What else?
Mm-hmm. The other big one that really surprised me was a new Life is Strange game is coming, which is starring the protagonist of the first Life is Strange, because that's another one of those franchises where each game has been entirely standalone. The only interconnecting thing is you know, each game involves one character that has supernatural powers that are never explained. So there have been 3 games so far in the series. Again, each one totally new protagonist, totally new cast of characters, new place. So the fact that this one is bringing back the protagonist from the first game really surprised me. But I loved the first game, so I'm very excited for that. I'm very happy about that.
In the first Life is Strange, was that protagonist a child?
She's a teenager.
Okay.
The second one, so the first one you play as Max and her friend Chloe, who are high schoolers. So they're probably like 16 to 18. The second one you play as an older brother and his younger brother. So the younger brother's the one with the powers, and he's a child. He's like 10 years old, but you play as his older brother who's like 18. Trying to keep him safe from the government and everything.
Okay. Did you ever play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons?
I did.
Okay. That got like a remake for some reason.
Really?
I don't know why it got a remake, and I think actually the remake looks like garbage compared to the original, but you just describing the second Life is Strange reminded me of Brothers.
Yeah, it's a very similar concept. I mean, with the caveat that, you know, the Life is Strange games have minimal gameplay. They're basically point and click adventures, right? They're like Telltale games. You navigate around a map, you talk to people, you have dialogue choices that affect the story and affect your relationships with the characters. But aside from a few small puzzles here and there, there's very little in the way of consistent gameplay.
Okay. And those are like among your favorite types of games.
I love a game with strong story and characters. Like my thing is, if a game has bad gameplay, but I like the story and characters, I can still enjoy the game. But if I don't like the story and characters, even the best gameplay in the world can't keep me interested.
Yeah. See, that was my big gripe with Cyberpunk 2077, a game that I've put probably about 100 hours into now. That's like torturing myself every time I play that game. I have played through the main story 3 times. In fact, I played through the third time because they came out with the update that had they redid the skill tree. They came out with
that's right. Yeah.
The lone expansion, and then the recommendation was to really fully take advantage of this, roll a new character. So I did. I begrudgingly played through that game for the 3rd time. And that game just, it frustrates me to no end, and yet I've put so much time into it, and I've played through the main story 3 times. And it's everything what you just said about, like, if it doesn't have a good story, if the characters aren't good, and just for some reason, maybe it's just the aesthetic. I don't know, but that is just one. It's a game that I love to hate.
Yeah, I have some games like that too that I've played multiple times, poured hundreds of hours into, and then when they come up in conversation online, I'm just like, I don't really like it that much.
That was
like, why did I play it that much? I don't know. So, clearly, I like something about it.
I've been playing Sonic Adventure 2 lately.
Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
That being from the first Sonic Adventure, but I've been playing Sonic Adventure 2, the original release, what I would also argue being the definitive version, through legal means. And that is a game that I played a lot of when it came out in 2001.
Yep.
And I'm playing it now, and I'm just like, I hate this game. I hate this game so much, but I need to finish it. And I realize now why I was such an angry teenager, because it was that game just making me just angry. And the thing about that goddamn game, too, is that if you get 180 emblems, so that's like, you know, the equivalent of like a platinum trophy today.
Yeah.
You get 180 emblems in Sonic Adventure 2, and you unlock Green Hill Zone. A 3D recreation of Green Hill Zone, but the design looks like the, you know, original Sega Genesis version, not like the Sega or Sonic Generations version. So you unlock that, and I, as a teenager, it was like going out of my mind. I think I had like over 100 emblems, but I never made it to 180. And all I wanted to do was unlock Green Hill Zone. And which I found out recently was just thrown into the game at the very last minute before it went in. The game actually went into physical production. The developers threw that in at the very last second is a little Easter egg. So I have the Steam version of the game, which is Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yeah, I think that's the only one I've played.
Yeah, because that was on GameCube. That was the first Sega and Sonic release on a non-Sega platform. So I think I downloaded a save file for Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and just loaded that up and finally tried Green Hill Zone. And let me tell you, my disappointment could not be measured. I couldn't believe I wasted so much time in the 7th grade grinding for these goddamn emblems, because boy, was that just a frustrating experience. I hated all 2 minutes it took me to finish that level.
Oh my God.
And it's just like thinking to myself, I had to have been a stupid teenager to think that this would have been the coolest thing ever, to experience a 2D plane in 3D. Oh, I wish I could go back in time and just slap my young self silly.
I've got good news for you. You were a stupid teenager.
Okay, so you got Dragon Age, you got Life is Strange, and I'm going to take a guess at World of Warcraft also. Piqued your curiosity.
We already knew the next expansion was coming out, and they just announced the release date is coming end of August, which so we've got the new Dragon Age game. We've got the new Life is Strange. We've got the new World of Warcraft expansion. We've also got the alpha of Ashes of Creation, which I bought access to, all slated to start between like August and October.
Oh, Jesus.
So all I can say is I'm cooked. I'm done. It's over.
Will you still have a job at the end of all of this?
I hope so.
So what you're saying is later on this summer, there will be no installments of the Acc and Jack show.
There may be very few, yeah.
Okay.
Over my dead body. No, I'm sure you could pull me away.
My list of things I was excited from the Xbox showcase is like 3 times the length of yours. So yes, Starfield Shattered Space, that's coming out later this year. And that is the first expansion for Starfield. Bethesda has said that Starfield is going to get long-term support and updates. So, you know, that remains to be seen just how long-term is defined, because Skyrim, I think, was by contrast like 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it only had, what, 3 major DLCs, right? Dawnguard,
Hearthfire, and then
Hearthfire and Dragonborn.
Yep. And then Fallout 4 had two major DLC and a bunch of minor DLC.
Right.
But that, you know, they usually do sort of like a 2-year, post-launch support window.
Yeah.
But Starfield, I mean, if they keep it going for like 10 years, then for a single player game, then like, Godspeed, more power to you. But yeah, Shattered Space, the previews are all saying this could inject this could be the injection of life, adrenaline that the game so desperately needs.
Good.
So there's that. They're also doing Bethesda publishing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is, I don't know, like outside of the Lego games, the last time we had an Indiana Jones adventure game, but this one looks like it could be its like own film entry.
Interesting.
And Troy Baker voicing Indiana Jones.
I was just thinking, so now that Uncharted is done, we get to have Indiana Jones games again, and Troy Baker, there we go.
Yep. Gears of War, E-Day, excited for it. Probably not going to play it anytime soon, but I do like a good prequel, especially if it's showing an actual massive event in the lore occurring. Not related to video games, but that Quiet Place, Day One movie that's coming up very soon. I am very excited for that, because very rarely do you see, when like the apocalypse happens, the actual apocalypse happen. Yeah,
I mean, I guess we saw a little bit of it in part 2.
Yep, very briefly.
To see a full movie of it. I had known that was a thing, but I completely forgot about it until you just said that.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, I mean, that game was cool when it was called Ghosts of Tsushima.
So actually, I've been playing Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, which is my first attempt at a FromSoft game. I've never played any of the Dark Souls or Elden Ring or anything. So it is very difficult. It is like a huge spike of difficulty beyond what I'm used to. But I've said, I told Stephanie, it reminds me a lot of when I play Assassin's Creed. About 20% of the time, I'm performing the most badass and deeply satisfying midair leaps off a skyscraper to slice someone's head off before rolling to the ground and perfectly making my escape. And 80% of the time, I'm accidentally walking backwards off a building and killing myself.
Yeah, I have Elden Ring. I have played a lot of Elden Ring, but I've done nothing in Elden Ring. It's just like cool to pick up and just kind of like run around and like, attack enemies and get your ass kicked. But if there's a story and a main objective, I don't know what it is. And I fear I'm not powerful enough to attempt it on my own.
Yeah.
Even with Let Me Solo Her.
Yeah. I'm still dealing with last year's game releases, right? Like Starfield and Baldur's Gate. I was like hyping myself up. I was like, later this year, I should do a Baldur's Gate playthrough because I still haven't played it. But then with all the game announcements, I'm just like, well, I don't want to rush it, right? I don't want to start it now and then maybe not be done when those games come out, because I'm going to want to play those day one. And I'm not going to want to stop a Baldur's Gate playthrough halfway through. So I'd rather just hold off and wait until I know I have like enough time to really savor a full playthrough. But it's just like, when is that going to be? I don't know.
Baldur's Gate, if I remember correctly, came out like the same day or the same week as Starfield.
Like very shortly before. Yeah, I think it was like the same month at least.
So I feel like everybody I knew was playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I was the one loser playing Starfield.
And there was me playing Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 9 rather.
It reminds me of when I, going back to Sonic, when I picked up Sonic Generations. I went to GameStop and I picked up my pre-order with my GameStop exclusive pre-order rewards. And I just looked it up. It might not have been this. I'm just going to go with it. I believe Uncharted 3 came out the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone was there to pick up Uncharted 3. I walked in very proud and excited to pick up my copy of Sonic Generations, at which point garbage was hurled at me. It was the game was it was thrust at me. Slurs were hurled, and I was asked politely but assertively to leave.
Hey, everybody, this guy likes Sonic.
Take your Casino Night DLC and get out. But I haven't recovered from that.
Yeah, and you never will.
Doom, the Dark Ages. Seems fascinating that we're going back to, I believe, medieval. The medieval era with Doom. This one was leaked a few weeks ago.
Interesting.
Metal Gear Solid Triangle. I mean, Delta. People were literally calling it Metal Gear Solid Triangle when it was announced last year, I think, because they didn't realize that the that triangle symbol was Delta.
Right.
But that is the remake of Snake Eater from 2004, I believe. Fallout 76 Skyline Valley, I believe they're actually adding to the main map.
Interesting.
They're not doing like the expeditions where you can, they build a map specifically for where it is you're going. They're actually adding on to Appalachia. So
cool.
I will definitely be playing that. I've kicked my Fallout 76 addiction for now, but I'm definitely...
It'll be back.
I'm going to jump back into it soon. It's just Starfield. I can't like divert my focus. It's either I'm playing 76 on PC, or I'm playing Starfield on console, or I'm playing Crazy Taxi by legal means, I assure you. And then Winter Burrow. This one was sort of like the Little Kitty Big City announcement of the showcase, where they feature a much smaller studio that has their publishing partnership with Microsoft, where this will show up on Game Pass. But I've heard it described as something similar to Stardew Valley.
Okay.
But you play as a mouse.
Aww.
You play as a mouse who trudges back home in the winter to find that their home is abandoned, that their family is no longer there. So as the mouse, you need to rebuild your home and survive the elements on your own.
And plot revenge on the family that abandoned you.
And the mouse has a delightful British female accent.
Huh. That's adorable.
It's a female mouse with a delightful British accent. Let me get it right.
Yeah. The correct words is just in a bit of a strange order.
Sure. Yeah. It's going to be one of those survival, half survival, half like farm sim, it seems.
Yeah.
And then the art style is cool. It looks like I would equate it to like a Maurice Sendak book, like Little Bear or Where the Wild Things Are. That sort of art style.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it.
I like games where you can play as animals.
Yeah, I get that.
It makes me happy, even if it's incredibly depressing.